Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. My name is James Haskell, along here with my co-host Glenn Martin. We are excited now that the draft has passed to review it and to talk to you guys about it. So let's start there. Glenn, what do you got for us?
All right, so I'm going to quickly review the entire draft class, and then we'll start back at the top and go over our grades and evaluations. All right, so round one, pick 28, they grabbed Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. Round two, pick 55, they got Jk Dobbins, running back out of Ohio State. Round three, pick 71, they got Justin Matabuke, D tackle out of Texas A&M. Round three, pick 92, they got Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, Texas. Round three, pick 98, they got Malik Harrison, linebacker, Ohio State. Round three, pick 106, Tyree Phillips, tackle out of Mississippi State. Round four, pick 143, Ben Bredesen, guard out of Michigan. Round five, pick 170, Broderick Washington Jr., D tackle out of Texas Tech. Round six, pick 201, James Brochet, wide receiver, SMU. And last, round seven, pick 219, Geno Stone, safety out of Iowa. So I guess we'll start at the top, Jimbo. Patrick Queen, our number one overall pick. What are your initial thoughts?
First of all, Patrick, I know you're out there watching, and I paid dearly because I doubted the fact that you would be available at that pick. So, yes, I lost the bet, but it was worth it, Patrick. I am excited about you being on the team. I personally, so my grade for this is an A. And I don't care if other people think I'm crazy, but I want to articulate my statement properly. And you and I kind of talked about this. From a physical standpoint, we have not had a middle linebacker like him since Ray. From a physical standpoint, I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he's Ray Lewis. But from a purely physical perspective, he has all the tools in the toolkit to be that type of player. So that makes me really excited based on the fact that we got him at 28. We didn't need to trade up. We didn't need to do anything for him. He fell right to us. And like you said, he's really going to anchor that team. I'm really excited about that. So I give it an A. What's your take on the pick, Glenn? I know you were more than me initially.
Yeah, I got to go A as well. I mean, I wanted them to get either Murray or Queen. I didn't think there was any chance Queen would be there at 28. So I was thrilled and shocked to see him still on the board. And I think they hit a home run. I mean, when you look at their biggest weakness, the games that they struggled or lost, the typical theme there, the common denominator there was they were ran on. You know, that they could not stop the heavy run attack teams. Now, that can be a combination of multiple positions, but certainly inside linebacker was one that needed to be upgraded in order to shore that up. And there's no way the Ravens were going to have another season in which they were perceived as vulnerable against a run attack. You know, it's just not the Ravens' way. So I think bringing this guy in that has the sideline to sideline speed to help with the run attack is the first way in which I'm happy. Second, which he's great in coverage. I mean, the guy can run with tight ends and running backs. He could even mirror a slot receiver for a little bit of time if you needed to. You wouldn't want to do that often, but you could absolutely do it with his speed and explosiveness and his coverage ability. I think he's a true three-down linebacker, and in this league, we see it countless times across the league, but certainly against the Ravens because we have the big slobber knockers up front. Teams look to run tempo and force us to either stay on the field with the big fellas, and then you risk getting thrown on, or they try and get you to bring in a sub package, and then they try and run on you. Well, this guy just brings the versatility to where you don't have to worry. Well, we got our two-down linebacker in there. We got to get him out there and get some coverage help, get a safety in there, or get a linebacker and run. This guy can do both. It just makes you more versatile. It makes you be able to do more things. And also, the third thing he can do is he can blitz, which nobody likes to blitz more than Wink Martindale. So, to me, this was an absolute home run pick. I guarantee that they were extremely happy to see him still on the board and the fact that they didn't have to move up to get their biggest position of need. So I got to go A on this one as well.
Wow. All right. So let's keep moving on to pick number 55 to Jk Dobbins, which I think, and I don't mean this in any sort of way based on his ability. I think it was a surprise in a number of ways. One, I think some people were surprised he was there. Two, I think some people were surprised that we went running back. And then three, that we went running back at 55. I think that's what I mean by surprise. Nothing on his talent or anything like that. But as far as all of those things, my grade is also an A. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just letting you know now, not all my grades are an A. I'm a homer. I'm as much of a homer as there is, but I didn't give them A's across the boards. But this one was also an A based on one, like I mentioned, 55. I think our lads, as you and I refer to a lot, they had him ranked as their best back in the draft. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the third back taken or the fourth.
He was the third
back. So there was
fourth, because Swift was taken. So Swift, Taylor, Hilaire, and then him.
Okay, yeah. So with that being said, to take what a lot of people are considering the best back in the draft, the fourth as the fourth back, and then 55th overall, I think that's a great steal. The other thing I think is awesome is that he brings a different dimension to our room as far as running backs go, because we all expected Justice Hill to be this explosive guy, and maybe he'll turn into that. But Dobbins is big. He's not overly large, but he's not on the small. He's not slight like Justice Hill. So I think that he has the speed, the home run ability with the size to match. The other thing I think that is important that weighed into this is that as far as RPOs go, I don't know if anyone in college runs it more than Ohio State. They run that RPO until they run.
He ran RPOs more than any other running back in the country.
Right, and I think that's a big deal because him and Lamar benefit from one another, right? When Dobbins is on, that 1 second hesitation is going to make all the world of difference, and to learn from Mark Ingram. So I give it an A. I heard some people talk about his use in college, but I'm not worried about it. I give it an A. What's your grade on it, Glenn?
Man, we're thinking alike. I got to give it an A minus. I give it an A minus this time. I think that the fact that he was there at 55 is, again, another shock for the Ravens. I think for our offense, if you had to pick one back to insert into our offense, I think he would have been the one. I think Hilaire would have been valuable to what he brings for this upcoming season because he would have been a different player. He would have brought something new. But nobody fits our offense better than Dobbins. This guy, like you mentioned, incredible at the RPO. Now, people can say what they want about RPOs, but we saw with Gus and Lamar his first year when he took over, there were some fumbles. There were some missed exchanges in the mesh point. So the fact that this guy has such an abundance of experience running that, you'd think that would make him a leg up and a little bit ahead of the game and ahead of the curve when it comes to running our style of offense just for us. And we saw when Mark Ingram went down, whether it be lack of confidence or personnel issues, our running attack was almost non-existent in that playoff game, and it killed us. It honestly killed us. So now if Mark Ingram gets hurt, well, we kind of look like we may have gotten a younger Mark Ingram and Jk Dobbins. And let me just point out a couple things that I find to be, very intriguing and very tantalizing about Jk Dobbins. Let me tell you, this guy fumbled, I believe, one time in 301 carries last season. That's incredible. When you look at some of the other top running backs in the class, that I loved like a Jonathan Taylor, but I believe he fumbled like 15 times or something like that. That's putting the ball on the ground. So he doesn't fumble the ball, which we know is a big pet peeve of Harbaugh and most head coaches in the league. Another thing he doesn't do is he doesn't miss games. The guy never missed a game. Okay, he can play through pain. The guy can muscle it up. He's not going to be in the training room, crying about every ankle sprain. The guy can play through some nicks and bumps and bruises. So that's also exciting. Another thing, he's a three down back. The guy can catch. He can run. He can catch. He can block, which is very important when you're talking out of college. A lot of these running backs, they can't stack up and pass pro. And if you can't pass protect, you can't be on the field, especially in passing situations like third down. So the fact that he can do that day one, I think is incredible. And I think you mentioned it. He doesn't have elite, Jonathan Taylor 4.3 speed, but he's got just enough of that home run ability where I think he can get it done and break those big plays where we don't really have that guy other than Lamar in the backfield that can do that. So I think this was a heck of a pick. And going forward, I think, they might say we might may have not been our biggest need this season. Next season, it could have been. So now we got our perceived best running back in this draft. I think it's an A minus.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I give it a solid A, but I can totally understand the A minus based on the fact that I think at that time there were also a lot of solid receivers on the board. But not knocking the pick at all. The one thing that I want to add is I want to read this description and tell me this doesn't sound like the type of back that fits perfect. You talked about his fit being perfect. Is this here? Dobbins' style is more of a battle axe than a buzzsaw as a lunch pail runner with the fortitude and toughness to wear down defenses. Right? You want to talk about?
Wow. I mean, yeah. No, you're right. I think he fits our offense perfectly to a T.
Yep. So let's move on to the next pick in the draft. Who we got, Glenn? After Jk Dobbins went D tackle, right?
Yep, they went D tackle, Justin Matabuke out of Texas A&M.
All right, so let me start with this one, and then I'll let you dig into it. So as far as Justin goes, to be honest with you, I hadn't done a ton of research on him, and once again, in the sake of full disclosure, I didn't know how much we were going to go D tackle in this draft, so it wasn't a position I was looking at a ton. But after I did some research on him. Look, it's really simple for me. Size, athleticism, and production. All those things, he checks off all the boxes at a high level. A lot of draft professionals had him in their top 3 as far as D tackles go. So I give this one B+, based on a simple analysis of what he brings to the table, the games that he's played in, and the competition he's played against, and how he's played. That projecting into being a solid player in the NFL and could be a lot cheaper than some of the vets we got on the roster now. You talked about it, not necessarily this year, but in years to come.
Yeah, no doubt. I think he's this guy's an interesting player because he was if you look at one scouting report, one positional ranking to the next, you could get varying opinions on the guy. And I think the big knock on him is just his size. As a D tackle, he's 6'3", 304, not an imposing size when you consider him next to the guys that we have on our roster right now. But I tell you what, this guy has. He has rare quickness and speed for that position, and I think that's going to help him transition to a heck of a pass rusher from the interior. But he's also good against the run. I mean, Mel Kiper had him as his 3rd best D tackle going into the draft. So to be able to get him in 3rd round at pick 71, I think is a steal. I'm looking at our lads has him as our 4th best D tackle behind Derek Brown, Kinlaw, and Blaylock. So to get the 4th best D tackle, again, these picks, when they pick in the draft, they're looking for this year, especially when they're in a win-now mode that they are. But they also look to the future. And Brandon Williams is only going to be here so long with his contract, and this is a good guy to bring in that I think can kind of help. If Brandon were to need to get released, they're going to have to pay Stanley, they're going to have to pay Humphrey, they're going to have to eventually pay Lamar a ton of money. If they want to lock up Judon for the foreseeable future, they're going to have to make some cuts. So if they have to get rid of Brandon Williams, this guy, he did 31 reps on the bench press at 33.5-inch long arms. So the guy is strong, stout, and yet he's got the explosiveness and quickness to provide some pass rush. He did have 5.5 sacks as a junior. So, yeah, I think it's a nice player. I'm not sure, with that loaded front we have, how much clock he gets, but I certainly think he will work his way into some sort of a role in this front 7 because Wink likes to keep guys fresh, and he helps them do that.
Right. No, I couldn't agree more. All right, so I want to set the table for the next pick, the 92nd pick, correct?
Yeah.
Devin Duvernay was where we went. But for those of you who haven't seen, I would suggest that you go back and watch our video of Devin Duvernay being picked because, if anything, because it's funny, Glenn was grasping at straws at this point and was really nervous, pretty salty, and not excited about the prospect of our wide receiver class not being very good in the coming year, which all of you that are Ravens fans, such as ourselves, know what living in that life is like. So this was my favorite pick in the draft. Glenn, I wasn't sure about this pick when we made it, but this to me is a solid A+ all day, every day, total makes sense pick. And more credit to you because you know what? When they were on the clock after the previous pick, you're like, all right, who else is out there for wide receivers that gets me excited? And this was a guy that you identified. I just want to say a couple things, and then I'll let you give your grade here. So coming out of high school, he was considered a top 5 wide receiver in the nation in 2016. So he's been playing wide receiver for a long time. It's not like he converted into wide receiver. Came out of Texas, was an all-state player in Texas. State champion in the 100-meter race in Texas. What? I mean, those things are incredible. Aside from his production, the guy, his athletic ability is just incredible. I think that the reason he got knocked down was because he's not a prototypical receiver. He's 5'10". I think he's 209 pounds or so, 200 pounds. But you know what? Look, there's one thing I'm going to say, that all of those things at the end of the day are relative, right? You only know what you have. I've said this before. And if you can produce with what you have, at the end of the day, you're going to continue to produce. That's my opinion. So I'm really excited about this kid. I cannot wait to see him in camp. I think he's a dog, and I think he's going to have something to prove. And that was a great pick by GM Eric DaCosta and assistant GM Glenn Martin. A+, great pick. What's your grade on this one?
Yeah, to me, it's going to be good. I'm going to go A- here. And the reason I'm going A- is, man, I tell you one thing I like hearing about a receiver is that he's got incredible hands. I mean, for far too long, we were drafting guys that had potential, and I kept hearing stuff like concentration drops and, stuff like – you don't get it with this kid. This guy catches every ball that's thrown his direction. I love his competitive fight and spirit after he gets the ball. He's incredible with the ball in his hands as far as getting yak yards, which is something, we just haven't had a ton of it out of our receivers, is guys that can get yards after the catch. It's just not something we've had. Now, he doesn't have size, but he plays so much bigger and more physical than he is. He's only, like you mentioned, he's only 5'10", but he just has that Steve Smith dog mentality where he just seems to play a lot bigger than he is. His cousin is Kyler Murray out of the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty cool thing to have there. I love this quote that a scout put down. Runs like he hates humanity as he blasts through tacklers. I mean, that just is awesome. They describe him as a running back that just so happens to have maybe the best hands in this entire draft. So he kind of reminds me of when I hear that, like a Deebo Samuel. But the difference is he's got more straight line speed than Deebo Samuel. I mean, he ran a 4.39. Now, he doesn't accompany that with a lot of wiggle. He's not going to go out there and shake a bunch of guys, more of a straight line speed guy. But 4.39 is 4.39. So if he can get behind you, he's got the speed to separate on the long ball, and you got to respect that. So I think if this guy can polish up his route running, man, this is a heck of a weapon, because I think the Ravens can be creative how they get the guy the ball. I think he can help a little bit in the kick return. I don't know about punt return, but he can certainly help with some kick return, I believe. They'll at least, give him the opportunity, give him the chance to show him what they can do. But I think they can put him in the backfield and get him some jet sweeps. I think they could, just do it. They can do a number of things with this guy. I think they're going to mainly line him up in the slot, but we'll see. But the big thing with him is he makes catches. The guy catches the daggone ball. He's competitive. And, I think he's a little pissed off that he stuck around till 92.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. When you're talking about route running and him not having a ton of wiggle in his hips, the slant route only has one cut.
That's it. And then he's gone.
Yeah, that's it, man. So good luck after he gets the rock. I mean, we saw Hollywood do that a couple times last year. And, I look for the same things from this kid. So I'm excited. All right, so let's move on to the next one here. After Devin Duvernay, this was a perplexing one at pick 98. Glenn, we went with Malik Harrison, linebacker, inside linebacker out of Ohio State. A very different linebacker to me, Patrick Queen. He's 6'3", 250 pounds. I didn't know this, but he was a quarterback when he came in.
Crazy.
And, he obviously played both in high school, came in as a quarterback, realized I had a lot of studs at quarterback and said, let me play linebacker. Yeah, must be nice to just be able to flip a switch like that. But
yeah,
I think it's going to be really interesting to have these two in the middle. This pick for me is a B. I'm giving this one a B. I think that, like you said, the Titans game is just a bad taste that is still in our mouths, and it's just not going to happen again.
They're done with it.
I'm interested to see how they use both of them. If they have them both on the field at the same time, if they interchange, if Malik goes a little bit to outside, I'm not 100% sure how, logistically how they're going to make all that work. But look, he's a Ohio State player that produced. He's a thumper. He's a proven run stopper at a high level. So therefore, I give it a B. Seemed a little bit like a luxury pick to me. But I'll give it a B. What about you?
Yeah, I think this could be just a classic example of best player available for the Ravens. He was obviously the highest player on their board. And look, I was shocked. I was a little shocked when I saw them take him because of the fact that he just took Queen in the first round. But when I sat around and thought and watched some of them, I got really, really excited because, man, the thought of them two being in the middle of our defense, our nickel defense, for a long, long time it's exciting. I mean, look, they complement each other so well, Queen and Harrison do, because Harrison's the type, he's just a battering ram. I mean, he's just going to go in there. He's going to smash people. He's going to bust up a blocker. He can take on an offensive lineman, shed him. Whereas Queen's, more built around speed and now he can hit you, but he's not looking to take on. I got a cut in my jeans. He's not looking to take on many blockers, shed and make the tackle. Man, I'm excited about the prospect of them two guys playing next to each other for a long, long time because, people get on his coverage. I don't think we're going to ask him to cover much, and it's not like you don't need guys that do what he can do. I mean, the guy's great against the run. He can blitz. And I think he's just fast. He's not horribly slow. He ran a mid 4.6s in the 40. So it's not like this guy is, a big slow foot out there. The guy, I mean, I just think he could become him with him and Queen next to each other. The way they complement each other, they're both going to look better playing next to one another. And I think that's what's exciting is that they got these two guys together because, man, I'm done with these patchwork linebackers. Done with it. So, and I think they were too. So for the next at least 5 years, I would say, 4, I guess, because I think that's how long his contract is. Next 4 years, Ravens fans, don't worry about the middle of that defense. It's going to be just fine.
Well, I'll tell you what, people give a lot of players that complement each other so well the nickname of like peanut butter and jelly, macaroni and cheese, whatever. I'm going to get more specific with it, all right? Malik Harrison is not peanut butter. He is crunchy peanut butter, all right? And Patrick Queen is not just jelly. He is like a sweet blueberry marmalade, okay? Because he's fluid. His game is sweet to watch. It's very artistic. But look, Malik Harrison is going to bring the thunder. He's just going to bring the crunch, all right?
Thunder and lightning, yep.
And so I'm really excited about it too. One isn't without the other. And, I think if they're on the field a lot together, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Glenn, where are we going next? With the 100?
Round 3, pick 106. They grabbed Tyree Phillips, tackle out of Mississippi State. What do you think? You going to let us know?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tyree Phillips was interesting to me. This was the first time we addressed offensive line, which was where I wanted us to go. The thing I like about this pick is that if you watch his college career, started at Last Chance U, so he went JUCO, moved up to Mississippi State. He became one of the best left tackles in the SEC period. He's a large, he's a big man. Let me give you some numbers here really quickly before I move on.
He's 6'5", 331 with over 35-inch long arms.
Yeah, so he's a large man, and he's done it in the outside in a scenario where he's not getting as much help. I think that if we move him to the inside, it's going to be something of something that I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I think it's going to be awesome. I think he's going to really, really excel and exceed. I thought it was interesting because in his interview with the Ravens press, he talked about wanting to take Marshall Yanda's position. He was cognizant of what happened there, the opening there, and was like, look, I know who left, and I want that job. I loved hearing that already. This kid knows how to work. He's put the work in, and he's gotten better every year. One of the things I don't like when guys are in college is you don't see progression, right? Because they're young. It's not about where you start. It's about where you finish at the end of that college career. Every single year he got better.
Yeah.
I think he can continue to do so and has the physical traits to go in there and dominate pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So,
no, I
my grade then is an A-. I'll pull one out of your hat and I'll say A-.
Okay, well, it took you a couple times to say that because the maybe it's not skipping for them, but it's skipping. You're skipping a little bit for me, Jimbo. But okay, all right. So I'm going to tell you about this guy because I think somebody pointed out in our comment section that this just screams Kelechi Osemele, and yeah, I can see some similarities. I mean, they're both just gigantic men. But let me just say, just imagine. Because I think right now they're hoping he slides into right guard to replace Marshall Yanda and put him next to Orlando Brown. Let me just paint this picture. You're looking at about 700 pounds between your right guard and right tackle. I mean, I don't want to get in front of that and try and stop that train from coming because, I mean, the first thing is the one note I saw that I love is he said he's basically just a bulldozer. He's built like a barn. Okay, is another thing I heard. I mean, obliterates down blocks. This guy is huge, powerful. If something's in front of him, it's moving. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, the guy is too big, too strong. He's got freakishly long arms, which, by the way, as freakishly long as his arms are, they're still not as long as Orlando Brown's. That's how long that guy's arms are, over 36 inches, which is just insane. This guy is exciting because he played tackle in college. He's going to have a leg up, I believe, moving inside already on pass rush. And he's already an accomplished and very talented and strong run blocker. I think he is a perfect fit for what we need. And, man, we are done with small guys, on our offensive line. This guy is just big and scary. He plays mean. He plays nasty. I was excited. I didn't really know a ton about him, but after I, watched some tape on him and I'm pulling up, man, this guy could be a steal right here. At the where'd they get him? Let's see, 106.
Oh, 106.
This guy could fit us perfectly and be an absolute steal. This guy's got vice grips for hands, Jimbo. Vice grips. Okay, when he gets a hold of you, it's a wrap. All right. So I like it. I'm going to go A here. I mean, look. It's going to feel like a homer, but a lot of these picks, I mean, it's hard to argue with where they're getting them. Every value I pulled up a half a dozen evaluators in front of me as far as where they rank them, and almost every pick is 30 places ahead of where they got them or behind where you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Another steal, so I'm happy.
And one thing I think is really important for where we are right now as a team is immediate impact. And one of the notes that I highlighted based on some of the scouting reports is that it said that interior protection duties, so other words, sliding into guard, should come naturally, and he has early starting potential with an above-average ceiling for a power-driven offense.
Which is exactly what we are.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect fit. The other thing I want to mention that's really cool about this kid is that he played 1 year of high school football. And got a scholarship to a junior college in the South and ended up at Mississippi State. So he is not at the height of his development, right? Like a lot of guys come into the league, and yeah, they still continue to develop. But his development will even be that much more because he played 1 year in high school. That's it. So I think that's pretty impressive. You know what? You got me more excited about this pick. I'm really excited about this kid.
Well, it's classic with the Ravens do is they look at guys who have their best football in front of them. We heard them talk that about Patrick Queen. He has yet to play his best football. We're not getting finished product. We're getting guys on the way up. And I think this is another guy who is clearly on the way up, and we don't know what his ceiling is.
Yep. No, I totally agree. All right, so after this pick, we our only fourth round pick at 143. We went with my guy Ben Bredesen. That's right, Ben Bredesen, guard out of the University of Michigan, who I now am convinced he is the reason that Cesar Ruiz was a first round pick.
Hey, you know, all five of their linemen are on NFL teams right now.
But you know what's crazy?
How impressive is that?
They were like 74th again in the run game or something like that in the country.
Yeah, it's nuts. But they all are on a team.
Man, if you got it, you got it. But the thing about is that he's extremely intelligent. You know, like we talked about.
Man, you're jumping all over for me.
He's extremely intelligent. He scored in the 75th percentile in the ACT. He has photographic memory. Awesome. I think he's going to pick up the playbook extremely quickly. He got knocked because he has shorter than average arms. I'm not worried about it at all because he was successful in college. He's extremely smart, and I think he's going to be better than who we have in place, i.e. Bradley Bozeman. So I expect him to come in very quickly and compete for that position, if not win that job. So I give it a solid A as well. What about you, Glenn?
Yeah, this is another A for me. I mean, it seems like it's getting a little redundant here, but I mean, you mentioned it. Our lads had him as their number one guard. Really, the only knock I've ever heard about him is the short arms. But you know that doesn't always show itself in the run game. I mean, a lot of times you would see that in pass protection come into effect. But look, I mean, it's not like he's a tackle; he's interior. So I just don't know if it's really going to be completely detrimental to his future career that his arms aren't 1 inch longer. If they were 1 inch longer, I don't think we're having this conversation. But the fact that they didn't hit the 32-inch threshold, a lot of people crossed them off their board. But, you know, this guy's a captain. He was, as you mentioned, he has the photographic memory. This guy he's strong as an absolute ox. He's already – What I've been hearing is he's already has NFL run blocking ability, which I mean, look, Jim Harbaugh, not only is he brothers of our coach John Harbaugh, but also who knows our scheme any better than a guy that had Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator and they went to a Super Bowl together. So if anyone knows what we need out of an offensive lineman, it's Jim Harbaugh. I mean, this guy knows not only his brother, but he knows ROC left and right, up and down, front and back. So I think that this guy couldn't be a more perfect fit for what we want to run. And yeah, would I like to see his arms on an inch longer? Sure. I mean, that'd be great. When you stack him up next to the other guys that we got, yeah, his arms look a little shorter. But the guy is genius level smart. The guy is extremely good as far as a character. He's a captain, and he's strong as an absolute ox. He wants to win. He wants to play good. He's a heck of a guy. So I'm excited about him. I mean, anytime you're getting, I respect the heck out of our lads, and the fact that they had him as their number one guard. I don't care if you like him or not. We got him at pick 143. And he was the number one rated guard for a very well-respected scouting service. So I'm excited. I think he, like you said, I think he has a shot to start week 1 at left guard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, so let's keep this thing rolling. Who we got after this, Glenn?
Yeah, so in round 5, pick 170, they went and got Broderick Washington Jr., D tackle out of Texas Tech.
All right, you want me to start?
Yeah, give it a shot. What do you got?
This was the only pick that I had to turn it over and have blind faith in our front office and say, "And Eric, we trust," because it confused me. I still don't like it. I've done a little bit of research, and there's some red flags, not character red flags, but play, like talent red flags is, I guess, what I should say here. But, for example, I said I really like when a guy improves every year. He was a 3-time honorable mention as far as all Big 12 selections go. Never made second or third team as far as, his conference goes. He was always an honorable mention. His stats aren't great. Seems to be more of a run stuffer. which is fine. I mean, we're talking about, pick 170. But the reason I give this pick a D as in dog, is because there were still some guys on the board that I think have done more for us this year. For example, Bradley and I was still on the board. And he was a producer in college as an outside rusher. Teaming him up with Matthew Judon, but those dogs we got in the middle was a scary proposition, and now we don't have the opportunity to do that. So I give this one a D. Not a big fan of this kid so far, and I hope he proves me wrong. But I'd like to know, are you going to talk me up here? Do any convincing? What's your grade?
Well, I'm not going to do a ton. I would give this one a C. I don't see how much he helps this season coming up as far as depth. Now, maybe he's more of a project guy, a guy they think they can develop. But to me, he's undersized at 6'2", 305. And, I mean, look, he's a great guy. It sounds like all the guys they drafted this year are great individuals, don't have a lot of character issues. He was a leader. So you like that kind of stuff. But, I mean, to me, I don't know. I just don't – he's strong. They say he plays bigger than he is. But to me, he's I don't know. I don't know how much they're going to get from him this year. I think maybe next year or something like that. But to me, when I look at the front, I think he doesn't get a ton of run. But obviously, they saw something more than we do. But I didn't watch a ton of tape. I gotta sit down and watch some tape on this guy in particular. He's the one where I was least excited to watch anything on. So I honestly just haven't. I'm just going off of the NFL and Our Lads and all that stuff. And I'm seeing he was projected to be a 7th or an undrafted guy by a few of these CBS. So I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe he can develop, but I'm not thrilled with this pick, so I will go with a C.
All right. Well, you're nicer than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just I didn't want to put him a D, but I'm not mad at your grade at all. Honestly, I think it was very fair. All right, so moving on to round 6, pick 201, they grabbed James Brochet, wide receiver out of SMU. Tell me about this kid.
Yeah, the way we were able to grab James is, if I'm not mistaken, we made some noise in the 6th round, made a trade in which we gave up a 7th this year, pick 225, and a future 5th, and then we got 2 6s. So pick 201, and then what was the other pick? 219.
219 is a 7.
Oh, sorry, apologies. So sorry, we moved up in the 7th. So James Brochet is based on that trade. We got the 6th round pick. I'm really, really excited about this kid. I'm surprised that he dropped to that late in the draft. I saw some boards that had him rated as a 4th, 5th, maybe early round 6, but 4th and 5th round. He's a smaller guy, not as fast as like Duvernay or obviously Hollywood. You want to talk about production? I mean, this kid can produce. He caught over 100 receptions last year. In his career at SMU, had 39 touchdowns and a hair under 4,000 receiving yards. Has done a lot of damage in the slot. Has made some really great catches that you can see on tape. Has nice body control. And I think similar to Duvernay, he's proven that he's got the dog. Like, it's there, alive and well. And he can make his hay up the middle of the field, which is where I think Lamar excels. So I think he's going to have a surprising impact early and can also help out in special teams. So I give this one based on where we picked him. And hey, I mean, I can't do anything else but that based on where we got him and his production. What about you?
Yeah, I got to agree. I think they got back on track with this one. I give this pick an A. Talk about crazy production. I mean, the last 2 years, he's got 209 catches and 27 touchdowns. I mean, that's just absolutely insane. And like Duvernay, incredible hands. These two don't drop the ball hardly ever. I think between the two of them, they both had over 100 catches, and they combined for 4 drops. And honestly, I think the coaches mentioned they didn't see one. They didn't see one from Duvernay, so maybe we'll knock that down a little bit. But both of them and can track the deep ball. I think that's an underrated thing that I don't think a lot of times can't really be taught. I mean, the ability to track a ball when it's in the air, adjust to it, and get it is something that's a lot of times just God-given. We saw Hollywood show that off a ton this past season, and I think we're going to get the same thing out of Duvernay and, of course, out of James Brochet. I mean, the guy can just track the ball and go snatch it. Incredible. And certainly help him punt return. The guy catches the ball. You know, that's what we want out of a punt returner, catch the ball. Whatever you do past that is just icing on the cake. But catch the freaking ball, get the ball back to Lamar in that terrifying offense. I think he's best suited. He's going to be mainly in the slot, but I think he's got a shot to go to the outside. You know, I know he's a little undersized. But I think he could. I think he could do some work outside as well. But I think his main fit is in the slot. But man, I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, I think he's one of the more underrated players in the draft. I'm not sure why he slipped. I guess the main thing is some people doubt his top end speed and that. But I tell you what, I saw him running by quite a few guys and I didn't see him get caught. So you know, say what you want about his speed, the guy did not get caught when he got behind people. So. I'm excited about it. I think he can win 50-50 jump balls despite his height. Yeah, I'm excited. A for me.
Nice. All right, well, let's get to the last pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Geno Stone, safety out of the University of Iowa. He is a Hawkeye. We've had success with some Hawkeyes in the past, Marshall.
Yeah.
But
that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right.
This guy – An interesting player. I think it was a great pick as far as where we picked him. 5'10", 207 pounds. Doesn't have great range and speed. Ran a 4.62. Only 12 reps on the bench press, which, yeah, I mean, he's a safety. He's not a lineman we're talking about here. I would expect a little more. But he does have good instinct and knack for the ball, has good body control. And his football IQ is definitely obvious and apparent, you know, when you watch the tape. So I think he's going to start out as an immediate impact special teamer. While he has athletic limitations, you know, I think that based on the style of his game and his nose for the football and his instincts, he will definitely carve out a role. And who knows, maybe he could develop into something more like a Chuck Clark, like a Tony Jefferson who went undrafted, which is still blowing my mind. But you know what? I think that it was a great value, and I think he'll find a spot on the active roster if he excels in special teams. So my grade here is a B. A B.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not mad about that. All right. Yeah, for me, I got to go B. I think the reason the Ravens made sure they grabbed this guy is because he was going to have a lot of attention. And they made sure they got him. So let me just say this. When we released our instant reaction video, admittedly, we didn't know a ton about Stone. Mm-hmm. So we were, I guess, a little underwhelmed. I mean, it's a 7th-round pick, so we weren't doing backflips. But as one of the YouTube commenters pointed out, that to maybe watch a little bit more tape and not just trust the scouting reports. So I did that. I watched 3 games. I watched the USC game. I watched the Iowa State game, and I watched Michigan. I think those were the 3. And I'll just read off some of my notes in order how I wrote them down. I think he always looks to separate the ball from the carrier, which is exciting. The guys, if he's not trying to pop you, he's trying to rip that ball out of your hands. And if they hold the runner up, defenders hold the runner up, he's looking to grab that ball and pull it out. So I think that's exciting, especially if he's going to immediately help on special teams. He do that to the punt and kick returners. He played a ton of zone. So that's exciting because, you know, the book on him was that he's projecting to be more of a box safety, which I think that is how he projects because he, like I said, he'll come up and pop you. And he just lacks some of that top end speed if you want to ask him to play center field. But he did do a lot of it. Now I'll say this: they didn't pick on him when he played center field because he's smart. He plays with good instincts. He showed good route anticipation. It looked like he could anticipate which routes they were running. He could jump it. Which I like seeing that. I did see a couple missed tackles as he came in to try and do the classic pop ya, but not wrap ya, which which is a little concerning. I don't like seeing that, but I think he's excellent coming forward towards the line of scrimmage to help against the run as well as to help in the flat patterns. I think he tackles a little too high. A lot of times I see him run with his chest straight at you. And in the league, you're not going to want to do that because you're catching a stiff arm or you're catching a shoulder to that chest, and you're going bye-bye. So I think he needs to wrap a little bit better and get around those legs a little bit better. He looks like he could be a good blitzer. I didn't see a ton of blitzes, but when I did, he did a good job of disguising it and then executing it. So I think we could use him as a blitzer, which I know Winkle liked to see that. But, yeah, I mean, I think he does a good job at knifing through blockers to try and get to the ball carrier. I think he's got some upside. And as you mentioned, he plays extremely, extremely smart, which I think is kind of a common thread of all the picks in this draft class is that they were all really smart guys. And, you know, that obviously helps. And when you lack speed, if you're smart and have good instincts, you can overcome that. So I think to me, he's kind of – you pointed him out in instant reaction that he could develop into be like a Chuck Clark, like extremely smart, and that could eventually pay off and turn him into – like we saw with Chuck Clark, he ended up turning into a contract and got paid. So we'll see if he can do it. It's going to be up to him, but I think he's got a shot.
Nice. No, I couldn't agree more. So let's do a overall grade. I think that based on our grades, you guys already know our overall grade, and you know, all of you that have been in school and know how GPAs and averages and all those things work. I don't think we can give them anything but an A. I mean, there's only without the one perplexing pick in Broderick Washington, which maybe they just know more than we do.
Yeah.
I give them an A. The Ravens, to me, had an incredible draft. I'm really excited to see how it goes. So I give them an A. You giving them an A?
Yeah, it's got to be an A. I mean, like you mentioned, the one pick, Washington, but I want to watch more tape on him. I'm going to pull up a few of his games and dive into what they saw because obviously they saw something. But outside of that pick, I mean, Patrick Queen, home run, Dobbins, home run, Matabuke, I think, could be one of the steals of the draft in the third round and could really, really help from pass rush. Duvernay and Brochet are excellent receivers to get as late as we did. Harrison, put him next to Queen. They complement each other. Tyree and Bredesen, I think, have a shot to start at both guards day one. And Gino's a project guy who could be a heck of a special teamers in his first year.
Yeah, so let's do two more things here. Of our draft picks, who do you think will have the most profound impact in year one?
Well, I mean, it's hard to not pick one of the top guys. So, you want to say excluding 1 and 2?
No, that's fine. Mm-mm.
Oh man, because I want to pick other guys, but it's hard. But it's hard to think that anyone's gonna like. I think Dobbins has a shot to get 800 yards, 800 to 1,000 yards. And I mean, when you look at what Gus went for over 750 last year. So I don't think it's unreasonable at all to think Dobbins could go for 800 to 900. So man, I would have to go, if you're phrasing it like that, I'm going to go Dobbins just because I think he has a chance to sniff maybe 1,000 yards. And it's crazy that might sound, but when you look at, we had 2,000-yard rushers with Lamar and Ingram, and Gus went for over 750. I don't think it's all crazy to think Dobbins has a shot at 1,000.
Yeah, no.
What you got?
So I'm going to cherry pick here. I'm going Patrick Queen. Not a very hard pick to make for me. I think he's going to have –
Hold on. All right, let me ask you this. If Queen and Dobbins are excluded from the conversation, where would you go?
Well, yeah, so that was going to be my follow-up question, so I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
So as far as under-the-radar guys that are going to make an immediate impact, I'm going with Duvernay for sure. I think he's gonna round out by the end of the year as our solidified number 2 for this year and moving forward.
Wow.
I don't think he's going to have 1,000 yards, but and it's hard because you got to give the ball to Mark Andrews, you got to give the ball to Hollywood, but I really think he's going to carve out a role as our clear-cut number 2 halfway through the season this year.
Okay. All right. I'm not mad about that. I'd be happy if you were right. I would have to go with my sleeper in this class. I'm going to go Tyree Phillips, the prospective guard out of Mississippi State. I'm in love with his nastiness, his size, his strength, his arm length. I just think he's an absolute bulldozer. And man, that right side of that line, if it's 3rd or 4th and 1, holy smokes. Good luck getting in front of that 700 pounds. And then, by the way, after that 700 pounds, you know who's coming in that hole next? Oh, a 310-pound, muscle-bound Pat Ricard is coming. Oh, and next to that 700 pounds on the end of the line is a 280-pound Nick Boyle, who's just a dancing bear. I mean, I think because of the sum of the parts around Tyree Phillips, I think he's going to be wildly successful if he lives up to the potential that he has. So I'm going to go Tyree Phillips. Now, let me ask you this. Who do you think – because, look, every Ravens draft we love, usually right after we love. But there's going to be holes in this draft. There's going to be stinkers. So who's your most likely stinker of this draft?
My most likely stinker.
I mean, you only gave one D, so I mean.
Yeah, I mean, so a stinker for me, he wouldn't necessarily be classified to me as a stinker because he's already a stinker to me.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying that it wouldn't be surprising if he didn't pan out to me.
Okay, so who's your surprising stinker?
Malik Harrison.
Oh, yeah, man.
I
took mine.
His coverage skills. Not that he can't develop them. And like you said, we might be able to disguise him and things like that. But I also worry I feel like he plays kind of, in a vertical fashion. It kind of reminded me of Derrick Henry as a back. Now, Derrick Henry's been widely successful. But that's something that he's had to work on in his game. I worry about how upright he is and how much that's going to limit his mobility as a linebacker working laterally with all these, 5-star athletes that are coming out of the backfield. It's not college. Every single one of these guys is coming at you with speed and quickness, and it might lower his ability to stop the run based on the fact that he plays very high to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think that was Malik Harrison. But honestly, I don't think there's a great chance he is going to be a bust. But if I had to pick one, I would go with Malik Harrison just because of his limitations on how often he's going to have to go off the field if he doesn't somehow find himself to be valuable in pass coverage. But I think he's got a shot because, for one, he's a good blitzer. I mean, he's a horse of a man. So I think if he can find his way to be valuable that way, then, it's possible. But, yeah, I think he has the most bust potential of the guys that would be surprising. I don't think anybody would be shocked if Broderick Washington doesn't live up to his 5th-round pick. You know what I mean? And I don't think anybody would be totally stunned if Bredesen doesn't start week 1 of this season. I think maybe next season, if he doesn't start, then there'd be some surprise. But Bozeman may have their early track there at left guard. But yeah, so I'd go with Malik Harrison as well, just because of his athletic limitations. But man, I'm excited about him next to Queen because of how they complement each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're really excited about this draft class overall, what the season's going to be. But don't forget about the undrafted guys. We're going to have a discussion about that as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure to leave us a like, give us a subscribe. Really excited about the future of the Ravens. I know you guys are too. So hang in there, and we'll keep putting good videos out for you. Keep you up to date with the Ravens.
See you.